Ladies and gentlemen, it is a treat, a pleasure, a national treasure. Today, a professional actor since the age of 10. His first credited role was on an episode of The Jeffersons. Safe to say he's moved on up. Nearly 45 years ago in 1977. Now, 2 years later, he appeared in an episode of What's Happening? And what happened after that? A whole lot! Exclamation point. The Blues Brothers, Little House on the Prairie, T.J. Hooker, Hill Street Blues, Max Duggan returns, Different Strokes.
Green makes you look like you threw up all over yourself.
Highway to Heaven, and we're not even out of the 80s yet. Action motherfucking Jackson. Hot, hot, hotter, and in the heat of the night. Head of the class, and Workaholics, just to name a few. And I feel like we're forgetting one particular thing. He is the coolest limo fucking driver in the world, Argyle, and that's the best intro you're ever going to get. What the fuck is up, man?
What's going on?
Nothing much. I only practiced that like 97 times.
I cannot follow that. There's no way I'm following that.
Wait, you guys.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is so much fun. Let me grab my Red Bull, okay?
Go for it. Yeah, there we go. All right. Yes.
See, now we got sponsorship. We got so much room for activities now. You can do this, man. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah. There we go. Why are you looking at me? Follow me. Follow us.
I am. I'm following.
Let's go.
All right. You got wings?
See, no, it's not how you do it, man.
Let
me help you out. He has a Red Bull. I have a Blue Moon.
Do you understand the?
No, I understood. We understood the reference. It was just, don't try to be cool. Just be cool, man.
Aimbot energy. All right. 3, 2,
1, go.
All right. Most kids don't really know what they want to do when they grow up. You not only knew what you wanted to do, but you jumped right in and really made it a career. What was the spark for you, and what was that journey like from realizing that you wanted to act to becoming an actor?
My mother passed away on Christmas when I was 10 years old. And I was very, very close with my grandparents. And my mother's wish was to get me into the entertainment business. And so I was just walking down the street, with my friends on my bike, and we were going into the arcade. This lady, dead serious, she just walked up and she said, "Hello, you have a cute smile." And I was like, "Okay." And she said, Do you want to be a movie star?" I said, "What?" She said, "You want to be a movie star?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "Well, you give this card to your parents and you ask them to call me, okay?" I said, "Okay." Put it in my back pocket of my jeans. Didn't even think about it. And my grandmother was doing the laundry and she saw that card and she came to me and she said, "Baby, what is this card?" And I said, "Grandma, some lady asked me if I wanted to be a movie star." And she called that lady. And I went and met with the agents. Now, mind you, I could always read well in school. I was good with reading. Acting, I knew nothing about. We meet with the agent. She's sitting there in her little crown-like chair and had her little minions next to her. And I walked in and she goes, I was always little for my age. And I walked in and she said, "Hi, how you doing, kid? You ever seen these before? They're sides." And I said, "Sides?" And she goes, they're in a script, for commercials and movies. And I said, "No, ma'am, I read, though. I love to read." And she goes, "Okay, well, look, you're going to read this, and this guy's going to read this, and you are two different characters, two different people. Do you understand?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." So she gave me the sides, and I did something like this. She said, "Action." And I went, "God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference." And then the other guy did his lines, And then she said, go again. And I said, we avoid retaliation or argument. We wouldn't treat other people this way. If we do, we would use our chance of being helpful. And she put her head, she just went, yeah, okay, kid, good luck. I'm walking out and she goes, hope you find it down the road. I turned around, you guys. I walked up to her and I took her hand and gave her straight eye contact, kissed her hand and went, ma'am, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm very grateful. And it was an absolute pleasure to meet you. Because that's how my grandmother taught me. And so I walked out and she goes, stop. Get his grandmother in here. You wait outside. My grandmother went in and she was like, look, your grandson can't act worth beans. Now, this is what I'm going to do, which is very rare. I'm going to give him a shot and he's going to go on 3 interviews. He must book one of those interviews or we drop him from the agency. My grandmother was like, oh yeah, you know, his mom passed away and he'll be the best. I booked all 3, Mountain Dew, wow, the Jeffersons, and What's Happening. And then it just started.
That's an amazing from do you want to be
that's like the dream that every actor or aspiring actor has. Like, oh, I just want that moment where somebody comes up to me and says, do you want to be a star? Like that's like straight out of the fairy tale book of Hollywood, as far as what people hope happens.
But what resonated with me more was the fact that, like you say, he bombed the audition. But what it resonates to is what we've heard from all the other people we've interviewed, which is that you have to stand out in your audition one way or another. Clearly, Corey, you didn't do as good as you wanted to do. But like you said, you could read, you were articulate, but it was your manners and your professionalism that stood out above everything else. And because of that, and she taking that chance on you, like you say, you got the Jeffersons, you got Mountain Dew, and then also it was What's Happening. And let's not forget 227. Now, if only for a moment, you had already solidified your place in some of the defining series is really understating it. I mean, you know what I'm talking about here. I mean, like, hey, we know you. And for that representation of Black culture in early television, how does that feel? And is there a particular memory from that time that really stands out to you?
I was so young and I didn't grow up with any like prejudices. I didn't see it. I mean, I'm Black and very, very, especially at this time, it's an honor and a privilege. You know, I'm Portuguese, Ethiopian. And so there's a mix there. And, you know, I've got my Ethiopian side over here, family, a lot of them from Addis Ababa, and then my grandpapa over here, Portugal, Brazil, Santos. So I was doing this and I didn't really say when I was a kid, I'm Black. I looked at everybody. I've only been called that.
Now go for it. You're there.
I can't stop. This one guy was later on. Would you like me to tell you that?
Please.
Okay.
Please. This is exclusive. Here we go.
Only one guy said he was drunk one day. I was at Starbucks and he goes, You're a nigger and you dress like a faggot.
Wow, he doubled down.
I went,
was this John Gruden? Sorry, I had to. I had to.
Stop it! He
doesn't watch sports, but you sorry, go ahead.
So you're a trip. So I looked at him. This was later on. You know, I live a very spiritual life, and I looked at him and I said, "Nigger, that's a little outdated." And faggot. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm taken. Have a nice day.
Kill them with kindness, as they say.
You don't have to steep to their level, because if you know that they're going to be ignorant people in the world, you can prepare for ignorance.
He flipped the script on him.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally, that is
I'm
amazing.
always
Man.
happy. I'm always happy. I mean, since you tapped in on that when the pandemic and everything happened, because I live in San Juan Capistrano, beach cities. And, when all that happened, the Black Lives Matter happened thing, I went up to CVS and this lady gets out of her Jaguar and she goes, "Excuse me." And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "I just want you to know that we really support you." I said, "Okay." So then, dude, like 20 minutes later, this old gentleman comes out of the CVS and he goes, "Young man." And I said, "Yeah, we've really got your back." And I went,
what is going on?
That's the only time I've ever felt, like I was, people were attempting to put me in a box, and I was like, oh, okay. Cause, I'm all about integrity, and, I used to be, like that. I got let it get to me a little bit, like with the Black Lives Matter. I see all these other cultures carrying the sign, and I'm like, okay, have you ever had a Black person asked to come to dinner at your house? Have you ever had a Black child play with your children? Have you ever invited Blacks to come over to a barbecue or a party? That's where my mind was at. However, I've come to the realization, though, that at this point, we've come so far. This was like a miraculous thing that has happened, because when people say wake up, people have recognized that it's not all about this and you and that over there and you and that over there. And like I said, it feels great, because in the business right now, Black is it.
I think everything you just said, not even think I know from the words you just said, I'm happy you said them, because we are a film show, and what we try to do, we don't make it a political show, we don't make it a racial show. Whatever film we're covering, wherever it goes and the guests we're speaking with, that's where the topic goes. And I told you it's a free-flowing conversation. So when you were saying the thing about have you ever invited a person to a barbecue, one of the things, the dialogue that me and him have, if you've ever seen A Time to Kill, Samuel L. Jackson asked Matthew McConaughey that. He said, "Jake, you ever invited me to a barbecue or anything like that?" And of course, at the end of the movie, he comes to the barbecue. But more importantly, at the end of that film, the twist was the only way that this white jury could see that evil had been done is that Matthew McConaughey literally had to point out a story and say, "Now imagine if she was white." And boom, all of a sudden they got it. So like you say, you don't want to be put into this box. That's not the way you see the world based off how everyone else sees the world. But it's beautiful now, because now that it is being recognized, I feel like for the first time, the culture is being researched and appreciated even more because of the things that they've tried to say. Now, we can't be this, we can't do that. What, like you said, you can let it get to you, but it can't take away from who you are. And I think that's very noble of you to say something like that.
I would say, though, that if I may.
Oh, please.
Okay, thank you. That I know that attending a barbecue is not a required prerequisite for supporting Black Lives Matter, but I would argue that if there are people out there, white people with hate in their heart towards Black people, I guarantee if you take those white people to a Black barbecue, there's a good chance that their mind might be changed by the time they leave. And somebody said, I was watching a Russell Brand interview with somebody recently, and they made a really good point. Like she's a reporter that I think she's, I don't want to get it wrong, so I'm going to say what I think she is, but she would go to hate groups and sit down with these people and talk to them face to face. And she said what she realized is that even these people, like the leader of the neo-Nazi movement in America, she sat down with him and he was unable to hate her to her face. And she was calling herself all the things that he would normally call her in private. And it was making him uncomfortable to hear her referring to herself that way. So it's like, if you get yourself to a barbecue, it might extinguish some of those preconceived notions that are fueling the whatever animosity.
To quote the GOAT Dave Chappelle, let's just have a conversation. Can we talk? Because this dialogue, right? You got to get them to talk, and then. But I digress. We'll be here all day with that. But that is some. Hey, listen, that is some really good stuff, and he's going to have one of the highest rated interviews on this show when we do his full interview, just because of the subject matter. But please
take us to 1980 and John.
By the way, come down here and get some rib tips and potato salad and some greens.
All right. He was talking to me. What you getting so excited for?
Why'd you have to take that from me?
I'll get it. I'll have it delivered from LA.
Now remember you said this now. All right, now, boom, he said it. It's a virtual lunch date. There it is.
You're not.
He's allowed to be the coolest guest we've ever had.
No, but I realized that what I was about to say, how it was going to sound when it came out, but
you're still going to say it.
There's a running theme in my life that most Black people that I encounter, their first instinct is to feed me.
Well, that's because he does weddings and he goes to a lot of events. So they're always like, hey, come get something to eat. He always comes and calls me. He's like, man, the food was just so good. I'm like, well, what are you expecting? I don't know why it wouldn't be so good.
Yeah.
So again, 1980, John Landis, bring us back.
Thank you. In 1980, under the direction of legendary director John Landis, you attempted to steal a guitar from the late and great Ray Charles. We are, of course, referring to Blues Brothers. What was Ray Charles like working with him?
Okay, first of all, where I grew up in View Park in Baldwin Hills, a lot of my life, I lived down the street from Ray Charles, Nancy Wilson, and Tina Turner. So I knew who he was. When I was younger, I just knew they were big. Now I'm going to share something with you guys. Ray Charles was cool. I met him, when we walked in to do the scene, shook his hand, and I'm like, he's just this famous musician. And my grandparents just showed me his house and his son's house, and they live up the road. Now, the funny thing was, you're supposed to be in school for 3 hours, by the state. Mm-hmm. John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd said, hey, kid, you want to go to lunch with us? And I was like, yeah, I just knew they were all big stars. That's all I knew. John Belushi, because I'm little, I've always been little. I just grew like a few years ago. And so he put me on his shoulders, and we're walking around Universal Studios. I'm having the time of my life. We're like seeing Jaws, how Jaws was made, and the saloons and all this stuff. And the tour bus passes by, and the conductor, whatever, the person goes, and ladies and gentlemen, they're the Blues Brothers, Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi. And everybody's, oh. An hour and a half or 2 hours later, lunch was only supposed to be like 30, 45 minutes. And we get back like an hour and a half later, the entire set, the executive producer comes over, the teacher comes over, and she goes, where have you been? Where have you been? Mr. Belushi, he was supposed to be the executive producer. You guys, he was supposed to be, back like a while ago, like almost an hour ago. And he's supposed to be in school, because the state, they demand that he's supposed to be in school. We can get in trouble. John Belushi puts me down and he goes, fuck that school. He learned more with us than he could ever learn in that fucking school. He goes, have a good day, kid.
That's
what I remember.
That is fucking amazing.
How could you forget? Yeah.
He wasn't wrong either. You did learn more that day, especially if it's public school. God damn it, you did learn more that day than you would ever learn anywhere else.
That's easily the coolest story of playing hooky.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Now, let me ask you this. Now, again, some of these projects you've been in, these aren't just. I mean, if you look at your resume, it's like, wait a minute, no, this can't be right. But one of the other things that you were a part of, and when I say things, one of the most iconic projects ever, for 3 years, A Little House on the Prairies run. You came back once or twice a year, portraying various characters. Now, what was it like as an actor to return to a story and engage with the same characters, but you're someone different than the last time you saw them? So you're pulling a little pre-Eddie Murphy on us a little bit here.
Okay, with that, see, I was always one of the blind kids. So I remember the episode where there was a fire and then I get rescued. I was always one of the blind kids. So when they had the blind kids, they would call and bring me back on, and it was cool. I don't have any, I mean, it was cool. I was, you guys, as a kid, I just remember I was always working. Like they would come and they would take me out of class, and I'd have an interview, or I'd be gone for a week and the teachers would send, my homework to the teacher on the set. So it was fun. He was out there at Disney Studios, and where we filmed the new Die Hard commercial. So it was fun. I was just a kid running around,
And you'd work with Michael Landon again in 1985 with Highway to Heaven. I'm curious, was that a result of a good impression that you made on Little House on the Prairie, or like a relationship formed there, or was that just like a happenstance reunion?
I am not keen on saying I don't know. I was not aware if it was. I just go in and read. And by the way, God bless her soul. You guys, my grandmother was so dedicated she was like my acting coach. We do it and she goes, do it again, baby. A little bit more energy, a little bit, slow it down. So there you go. Do it again. So, she had a lot to do with that. To answer your question, I was not aware if that had anything to do with Highway to Heaven. It was like another interview. Then you get a call back. Then you get another call back. Either you're booked or you get a third call back and you're booked. So, that's what I remember about Highway to Heaven. It was fun. It was fun. I remember that.
We ask actors all the time for advice for aspiring actors, but your grandmother sounds so awesome, and like she serves as a blueprint for what the family or support circle around aspiring actors should do. She seems like she was very proactive in making sure that you were a success, or at least had the best shot possible. And I think that's like a common theme with child actors who actually make it and are able to successfully transition into adulthood, is they have a solid support circle around them that are like proactively working towards their success.
There's a gray area. There's a gray area there on the fact that, and thank you for the compliment. She was a great woman. Like a lot of us, very enabling, because, they wanted to make up, for the loss of my mother. So they were doing everything they could. In reference to the Hollywood, you can go either way. It needs to be meticulously handled with the adolescents, because babies and stuff, they make the same that we do. When they do commercials and stuff, they make the same money. So it's just that navigating, it needs to be meticulously navigated with a career with a child, because, they're getting so much. That didn't happen with me. A little bit later on, it did, and we'll get into that. It's just that if it's navigated right, and the parents don't, because it's a lot of pressure on the, on the child, on the young ones, and they're getting all this attention and stuff, and and they only have like 3 hours of school, and it's a tricky game. It's a tricky game. That's all I can say. It needs to be handled meticulously.
Now, one thing I want to talk about now, the year's 1983, by the way, one of the greatest years ever, because clearly it's the years me and him were born. But now you were in a film called Mad. Now, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Now, in 1992, you played an addict in Trespass with Bill Paxton, Ice-T, and Ice Cube. A lot of people didn't know Ice Cube was in that film. I didn't even know you were in that film until he just rewrote these questions. Now, fast forward to not too long ago. It seems like you successfully turned these residuals into a drug and alcohol rehabilitation facility where you actually serve on the clinical staff. What I want to know is what inspired that decision, and is there anything you'd like to share with the audience on the subject of addiction or rehabilitation?
With the MAD thing, like I said, I was just young and I just went to work. It was a TV movie of the week, and that was that. By the time I got to Trespass, it was a trip because I always wanted to work with Walter Hill. Walter Hill, he did 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy, and and Walter Hill, The Warriors, Walter Hill, man, huge director. I'm like, that was my dream. Even I read for something with Eddie Murphy or something. I didn't get it. I think it was, which one was it? Beverly Hills Cop with the limo driver with Eddie Murphy, or 48 Hours?
Yes.
Yes, I read for that. That's what it was. And I just knew Walter Hill was big, and I always wanted to work with him. And so after Die Hard, they came to me, and because Die Hard busted off, and they came to me, and they were like, Walter Hill wants to meet with you. And I said, okay. And Lee Daniels was managing me at the time. Big Papa. And so I went in, and you guys, what I did was, at that time I was like, method acting, that's kind of cool. So I actually I lived in Hollywood. I went with a couple of friends to make sure I was okay, went to places where junkies lived and watched them, what they did. Because at that time, when I got to that age, I'll tell you what would happen to me in Die Hard. When I got to that stage of my development, research. So I hung out with junkies. I watched what they did. So when I went to read, actually it wasn't with Walter. It was Reuben Cannon is who I met with. And it was funny because he and Lee, let's just say they don't get along.
Okay.
And by the way, you will not ever hear me speak unkind, unimportant, or unnecessary about anyone. I just don't in my life. So I went in and read, and I had it down, to be a junkie. I watched them. I memorized what they did. So I went in, read for it. They taped it, sent it to Walter. Walter, I found out later, said, this is the kid. Reuben Cannon questioned if I was really high.
Wow.
He was like, something's not.
Thanks, but no, because thanks for the compliment, because I really method acting here, but no, I'm not a method addict. Like, what?
He goes, we want, he and Lee were, and Lee was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? He's in Die Hard. What do you mean? He's a method actor. He goes, I wanted a drug test. And, Keanu we kind of were hanging out at the same parties and stuff. And, Keanu was like, go to this doctor that I know. He goes, this on the real. And he goes, go to him. He can have the drug test over like that. Because he wanted like this drug test. I said, I'm not having anybody stab me with anything. And back then, I don't know if they had instant. I don't remember. Anyway, Lee was so upset that he called him and said, you fucking bitch. How dare you insult not only my client and me? He goes, who the fuck do you think you are? He let him have it. He said, he's not a drug test. He goes, you sound like you've been freebasing.
Yeah.
So he goes, well, I want him to come in again. And Walter was already like, I want him. The casting director is the go-between. And so he was like, well, I want him to come back and read today. Out of character. And Lee said, you know what? That's what he's going to do. That's just how Lee talks. He goes, that's what he's going to do. So Lee calls me and goes, my darling. I said, yeah, Big Papa. He goes, I want you to throw on some fucking Armani slacks and a shirt and some nice Salvatore Ferragamo shoes. And I want you to go in there and act your ass off. I go, okay. He goes, you have time to get a haircut? I said, I don't need one. He goes, get a haircut just because. I went, did it. Lee had Leah Daniels, his sister, accompany me as if she was like my girlfriend or fiance. So she was with me holding my hand when we went in. And I went in, I was clean. When I first read, I was prepared. I hadn't shaven and stuff. And, my hair was up. It was like it wasn't in trespass. Mm-hmm. And so when I went in, had it slick back. And I sat down and I read it. And because he wanted me back the same day that he said that he said that I was high. Lee mentioned, though, that they hated each other for a long time. And so this was like a dagger at Lee, possibly. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I went back the same day, booked it, and because he obviously, I think he told Walter, I don't know. I don't know about this. And Walter's like, well, I want the kid. And he goes, I'll handle it. So they hired me. So that's how that worked. I always have these little stories that I remember,
They're great.
And then here comes Ice Cube and hindsight.
It did. I've heard of actors having to do multiple screen tests, just never a drug test. So yeah, that did answer our question. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what was so wild too to have to take a drug test to play a drug addict in a film. Like, right. Yeah, it seems like you were just kind of like collateral damage in a power struggle between two other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah. To piggyback on that really fast. Okay, Joel Silver, Matrix, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Die Hard. Joel Silver, huge, as you know, producer. He and Walter were very good friends because Walter gave Joel Silver his start. So something happened where they had this argument. You guys, I was supposed to go and do Trespass. Joel wanted me to fly home from Atlanta to meet with him at his house, at his Frank Lloyd Wright house that he owned at that time, to go over the script for Die Hard 2. And we were going to collaborate, and I think he wanted, this time Argyle was going to be a rookie, a cop, I think, or something. And somehow they meet, and he goes, Argyle? He goes, Yeah. And he's the same character, however, he's a rookie. So we were going to do all that. They get into their thing. I'm like this in-between little, robot. And Joel's like, I want him to fly home in 2 days, and we need to handle this. And he and Walter were already in a fight, something. And so Walter said, fuck you, he's mine. No.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Throw all the questions out of the way. These stories are gold, Jerry. Gold.
And Walter he said, Joel, okay, listen. You know the movie Cool Runnings?
Mm-hmm.
Remember Cool Runnings? Walter Hill, they wanted me to read for them. Walter Hill directed my audition and sent it to them. I was supposed to fly from Atlanta straight to Jamaica and do Cool Runnings. And then they pulled the plug on Cool Runnings. So there's all these little tidbits, things that happen. Continue. I didn't mean to get off topic.
Sanka, you're dead man. Oh my goodness. Now,
hold up. Before we move on from that, I did want to circle back to the second part to that question. That it was really intriguing to me that
you don't see many people kind of like switch gears the way you did. And I'm really interested and curious about your motivation to start the rehabilitation facility and just that part of your life. I'm interested about.
You guys, when you start getting successful, after Die Hard, I was getting these offers for television shows. And I'm not going to get off topic. I got you. And so they were bidding on me. And so at that time when you did feature films, TV was kind of like, however, they were bidding. And so the highest bid, 227, asked me to go on there to be Regina's boyfriend. And there were a couple of others, head of the class. They were interested in me before when it started. However, I was doing something else. And anyway, they came around and they bidded. And I was like, the Robin Givens show. And they were like, yeah. And so they were bidding, and 227, they were going back and forth. And then Lee, I was like, well, let's see. The last bid was cool. And I said, see if they'll go for this. And then they said, unfortunately, because the other cast members are making that, it would be a conflict of interest. I said, okay, I'll do it. Sure, I'll do it. I said, under one condition. I can make up the character, have creative control over wardrobe. And they want him to be like a basketball player that gets a scholarship into the school from Harlem. I said, nope. One would be like an aspiring artist, director, sort of pseudo Spike Lee thing. And then we can do something. They said, okay. So what I'm saying to you is that when you're making that kind of money, and I didn't ever process the thing with my mother, ever. So you guys, what I was doing when I got into that agent when I was a kid, when you saw me, all I was really doing, when you saw me on those early stuff, dude, I was going like this. My mom died and I'm really hurting inside and I just don't want anybody to know. And if I can make you smile, I can smile.
The Robin Williams effect.
When you don't deal with that, I'm getting into the recovery thing. When you don't deal with that, there's like demons that we all have. I say, we have more issues than a box of tissues. And you can go down dark roads or you can stay on the path. Like what I said, when you have a child, you keep them on that path. I decided because I was getting really successful, I was hurting on the inside. And so we go kind of like a dark road. And mine got dark, man. I mean, I'm happier than I've ever been now. And so I work in recovery. That's what you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I work in recovery and I love helping people. And I learned that it's not all about me. I was ego driven. It got arrogant. And I just started getting out of the gratitude that I was supposed to have, like what you just said. The shot at stardom at that age, and to get the gifts that Hollywood has to offer, if when you open those gifts, you appreciate them. The grandparents did the best as they could do. They can only do so much.
Mm-hmm.
So at 18, I get my money and got my first apartment, and we didn't go into that. What I'm saying is, to answer your question, you can go down dark roads. And mine got dark because my hers was dark, to be quite frank with you, and loved her. She was my best friend. So I got into helping people. I help people 24/7. I work in recovery. I work in recovery, work in treatment, and am in recovery. And
Let me ask you this.
I love helping people. Yes.
Do you find that the helping people is a part of the recovery in itself for you on your end still?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, of course. Of course. You mean my career?
Well, no, sorry. No, as far as you as just a human being, like you say, the reason why you got into it because of the dark road you went down, and you're happier now than you ever been. But you know how sometimes people will say we go through these steps, and every day I'm still in recovery. Every day I'm still getting better. Every day is a process. So when you help these other people out that need this help, is it still replenishing you and giving you a sense of pride and recovery in yourself from helping them out?
Well, what they say is, because I live by spiritual tools, I say today, because my grandmother raised me, with God. God was always with me. I just wasn't with God. And today I live by spiritual tools. And by helping people, I'm giving back what was so freely given to me, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I was out there. I'm just going to keep it real with you, because I always am. I don't have any secrets. That's the beautiful thing about my life now. I don't have any secrets. If there's things that are personal, I can choose not to talk about them. Mm-hmm. Then the success, when you're making that kind of money, I've got a house in Hollywood Hills, Outpost Estates, driving a Benz, driving a Range Rover. Really, because the pain was so deep, I didn't appreciate my career. I really didn't. I was like, give me my check. I'm going to go do this live show, and I'm going to parties. Madonna's having a party. I need to go over there. She lived across the way at that time. I was like, Rod Stewart's birthday? Oh, you got to get me in there. This club? Oh, you got to get me on guest list and tell them I'm bringing 14 with me. That's, that jet set thing. And so today I'm a simple man. I live at the beach, I have my house, and I just, to answer your question, it's all because of recovery.
I love what you said, because the when turmoil is going on the inside, it always becomes more apparent when the exterior is all positive. Like when everything is good around you and you're still feeling a certain way, at that point, that realization comes where, okay, maybe there's some depression or unresolved things going on inside me, because there's no reason that I could see around me for me to be feeling the way I am. So it's got to be something going on inside.
I can imagine. I mean, you lose your mom at...
Yeah. I mean, you said 10 years old, right? And on Christmas Day? Yeah, that's I'd imagine that would stick with you forever.
Back then, I'm a child. So I was like, my mom? What do you mean? What do you mean? So like I said, the only thing I intuitively at that age, not having the experience that I have now, the intuitive thing to do would to be cover up the pain. It's like, I'm a superhero, I think, and, all these other bad alien things are coming at me. So I put up a cape like Batman,
Mm-hmm.
and then build a cape and go, what's really on the inside though? See?
Yeah.
It's not funny, but in retrospect, with him saying that, he said it's just like Batman. I don't know if you noticed this, since it still is a film show. In one of the Batman films with the future Dick Grayson, Robin tells Batman, he's like, you know how I know you're Batman? He tells Christian Bale, you know how I know? Because you have that same look on your face, that same look I put on my face to hide that pain, to mask those feelings. So I knew you were Batman the day you showed up with all your cars and your money and your women, because I taught myself to have that face to hide that pain. So that was a perfect analogy. Look at you, man. Still the showman. Still the showman here. Hey, take us to 1984.
You guys,
Yes.
by the way, I read for Batman. They brought me in after Die Hard because they were originally going to make Robin black, and I went over there and read.
That's true.
And everything.
Was that with
You said Joel Silver. I was thinking Joel Schumacher. Never mind.
I think-
was that the Batman? No, this was.
It was right after that time, because Marlon Wayans, if I'm not mistaken, he read for it too as well. But neither one of them got it because they didn't make him black. So I mean, but yeah, definitely. Wow.
Both of us were head to head.
I would have loved to see that either way. Either way, I would have loved to see that, man. Look at this, man. It's going down today. So the year is 1984. You starred as Wiley in the two-time Oscar-winning film Places in the Heart, starring Sally Field, Ed Harris, one of my all-time favorites, John Malkovich, and Danny Glover.
Now, your character is lynched for accidentally shooting a white sheriff. What was it like to act out something that could easily have been pulled off from a real headline in today's time that we live in? What was it like, even at your age, to go through something like that and have to portray it? Because me and him, just a little background, we shot a series called Selma that's going to be coming out. And for me and him, when we went to Selma and we sat in these lynching holes and we saw these things, we were adults. And I know how it made me and him feel. So you being on that set during that time, how does that make you feel?
It was Robert Benton, the director. He had won an Oscar for Kramer versus Kramer, acknowledged for Silkwood, Meryl Streep. Huge director. They flew me, red here, call back, 3. They flew me to New York to see me one more time. So to me, it was just like like I said, they're big. Now I'm 18. I was 18 when I did that. Flew to New York, put me up at a nice hotel, and I read for them again. And I flew back home. Before I got back home, I was booked. So to answer your question, I didn't learn how to act until I got to Die Hard. Seriously, take it seriously. I was still in that. I'm going to read. And by the way, real quickly, you guys, with the script and the sides and stuff, I just read it and just gave it energy, not doing like research like you do now in the elements of acting, and using the different types of navigations it takes to build a character. I would just read it. That I was just lucky. I would just read it. So with that film, I went in and I kind of pictured it in they say I'm a natural. And I read it, and Arlene Donovan and Robert Benton, they called before I got home and did it. However, to answer your question, it was just uncomfortable as fuck in that harness. And they would put me up and it was dusty out there. And for a moment, I said, this isn't right. This just was not right at all. Like I said, I didn't grow up with a lot of prejudice stuff. I wasn't called stuff in negative things, derogatory names in school. I just wasn't. It just didn't happen. So did it affect me at that time? Perhaps it did, because I don't have the experience and the wisdom that I do now to have a better understanding, of that time period. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
It seems like you're like almost like the film was exposure for you to a side of history that you weren't like painfully, it wasn't painfully apparent
Affected.
to you growing up. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew it was wrong. I just knew it was wrong.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't right. So,
that movie would naturally lead us to Die Hard, because we read that you largely credit that film for the opportunity to do a reading with producer Joel Silver and Bruce Willis. Can you tell us about how that happened and what that reading was like?
Jackie Birch was a huge casting director back then. I had Lee on my team, and Jackie Birch calls Lee. They're very good friends. And she says, Lee, I'm casting for this part, for this guy to play like a limo driver, and he's on this like CB radio or something. And, I'm just preparing for it. And Lee goes, oh, darling, I've got him. Even back then, Lee was like that. He goes, oh, I've got him. She goes, what do you mean you got him? She goes, Devoreaux White, Places in the Heart. He killed Sally Field's husband. She goes, oh, yes. She goes, I got him already. And she goes, you don't even need to read with him. And she goes, I know exactly who he is. She goes, okay, so Joel and Bruce saw the movie, so I'll send him straight to Joel and Bruce if I can. And they did. And I walked in and I read with them, and before 5 o'clock, I was booked.
That's awesome. Bruce Willis really wasn't he definitely wasn't the household name that he is now, but really then he just had like Moonlighting and maybe a few other TV projects under his belt. So when you went into that meeting, were you familiar with Bruce Willis at all?
Moonlighting, I just remember, Joel, I knew he was a big producer. And real quickly, just a short one. I remember when I got booked, I went to the wardrobe department and they put this suit on me, and it wasn't very comfortable, guys. It was like under here, it was tight and everything. And the shoes were hideous and they were clunky. And the wardrobe person, I said, this is what I'm wearing? And he goes, yeah, hurry up. He goes, hurry up. We got to get to Joel. Okay. So we go to Joel's office, and I remember it was like deco plush, like wine colored velvet deco and like Frank Lloyd Wright stuff. And the few people were sitting outside his office, and they were like this, and they looked nervous. And I was like, wow. And then I hear Joel come out and he goes, tell those fuckers to hurry up, and slams the door. And so I go in, and I had read for him. This is when I had an official discussion conversation with him. And I walk in with the wardrobe guy, and Joel goes, how you doing? And I go, I'm good. And he goes, so how do you like your wardrobe? And I said, it's hideous. And I said, these shoes are ridiculous, to be quite frank with you. And he smiled, and he looked at the wardrobe person, looked shocked. And he looked at the wardrobe and he goes, go get him when he wants.
Honesty's the best policy.
That was my little story. I always have these little stories, you guys.
No, these are good nuggets, man. No, you're good, man. Trust me, you're giving us, we'll get to it later, but trust me, you're giving us way more than the movies that made us gave you. So we appreciate this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we definitely appreciate this. Now,
there is something to be said about your Crossroads with Black and behind music icons. Now, first, you're trying to steal from Ray Charles and Blues Brothers. Now, you're helping yourself to drinks from the limo bar while taking in a Stevie Wonder cassette. Would you like to comment?
It was Run DMC.
Told you.
Excuse me. It was Run. That's
I didn't write
that's
it.
a
He
lead
wrote
talk.
this, but I knew what it was.
Oh, yeah?
No,
That was the trick.
no, it was not it. The trick was earlier.
That's how Lee. That's how Lee talks, you guys. He goes, "Excuse me, fuck you."
With all due respect, you asshole.
So continue. I'm waiting. Continue.
Please.
Your
There you go.
your filming schedule with Die Hard was spread out over a 3-month period. During that time, were you given like restrictions or anything regarding altering your appearance?
No, they didn't put specifics on it.
Okay.
I just stayed the same way like I am now. I just have glasses. And just because they're Gucci doesn't mean I can see any fucking better.
There we go. And that's the trailer. That's the commercial right there. You didn't have any Gucci sponsorships coming up, did you?
We're dropping Gucci,
No,
Red
I
Bull.
just no, there were no restrictions. You know,
Awesome.
I come in. I mean, the only thing, you know, then they had pagers. And so I remember that I was on call and they gave me a pager. I remember one night I was at the baddest club in town called Vertigo downtown. And I was just rocking. You saw Robert De Niro like by himself over there in the back. You see Bridget, Sylvester Stallone's ex-wife, the redhead.
Brigitte Nielsen. Brigitte Nielsen.
Yes. You see her walking in. And you see everybody, you know, running around. And so I was dancing. I was having the time of my life. And that damn pager went off and I went with my friends. I went, shit. So I go to the phone and then I call and he goes, Mr. Wright, we need you in within the hour, okay? And I said, yes, I'll be there. So I left and thank God I wasn't drunk. No, I you know, that's the only kind of stuff I did over that period. It was fun.
You could have pulled off if you were drunk. I mean, Argyle was sipping the wine coolers in the limo for most of the movie.
He was having the time of his life back there. Now, one thing that I did actually read here, now this is according to IMDb, who's only right 65% of the time here. They had a couple of people try to do it who weren't really trained actors try to punch a co-star. So we read that you actually did punch your co-star, Clarence Gilliard, a little black on black crime. Wonder how they figured that out. Who played Theo during the escape attempt scene. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so I share with you guys that I don't speak unkind, unimportant, or unnecessary about anyone.
Mhm.
I will just say I was younger. I will say we had artistic differences.
Mhm.
And as a method actor, you got to make it look motherfucking real.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Clarence is so.
Boom! Because I had a military guy. This guy I met like a month ago, and I walked in somewhere, and he goes, "You look like that guy in Die Hard." And I said, "Yeah, I'm very cool about it. You know, very. I go, yes, and I go, I'm honored. Thank you." And he goes, "Okay, so my dad is military, and I'm military, and that punch scene." We can pretty much tell, you know, because we do combat and stuff. He goes, "That looked like you hit him. My dad said you hit him." I said, "I did."
That's my dad said.
That is wild, man. Method actor, man. Hey,
Yeah.
it came across, man. It definitely came across.
Look at my face. Look at my face. Uh-huh.
Hey, I did. I just shake your shit.
Oh, that is fantastic.
You guys are bad. You
Yes,
guys
we
are
are.
bad.
Hey.
Bad men.
Yeah, thank you. Not bad man.
Well,
Yes.
hold on. It's only going to get a little bit worse.
Now remember about the stunt and hitting him when we just did the commercial, the newer commercial, the Die Hard commercial. I saw him and no ego. Back then, I did stuff that was pretty kind of ego based. Today, I'm a different person. I'm not that man that I was. Like I shared with you, and I'll tell you what happened when I learned how to act. I was just like, get this film done, throw some energy. Places in the Heart, they had a coach for me to teach me how to be drunk. They flew her in from New York, Sandy. So I was on my way to really learn how to get the gist of acting. So with him, when we did the commercial, I saw him on the where we were having lunch and stuff. And I walked up and I said, "How you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, so good," in front of everybody. "Oh, so good to see you. We're so happy to have you." I went, I'm just kidding.
Still a bit of a little artistic difference going on there.
No, we were cool though. We were cool. You know, we were like, I was speaking because that's how I am. You know, miss me with the bullshit. You know,
Right.
I'm here to get along with people, and you know, what you exhibit pretty much dictates what you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that, you know, Hollywood is so, you know, it's so like, if this isn't, today I think with my heart, I've learned how to. And I choose my battles very carefully, which are rare. And I'm very respectful. You know, nothing's problematic. If I have an issue with someone, back then I would cuss you out. I would cuss you out. I remember I was sitting, because Wesley Snipes and Eddie and Lawrence Fishburne, they're like uncles to me. And I remember we were at Club Roxbury one night, and I was sitting here, and I said, because the mother thing, and I was like, I'm not happy. I hate this. Eddie's loud. The other two, Lawrence Fishburne's like, Larry's like, just chill. It's going to be okay. I was on my third Long Island iced tea, by the way. And, you know, and Wesley's like, just be cool. It's going to be all right. Eddie goes, "You what?" And I said, "Eddie, I hate it. I'm not happy." He stood up in the club. We were in VIP at a table. He stood up. He goes, "Have you lost your motherfucking mind?" He goes, "You're about to be the next me. What the fuck is wrong with you?" And I fell off the chair. And I got up. I had been drinking. I got up and I said, "Fuck you guys. I'm going to make more money than all you put together. Fuck you." And walked off. We got off topic. I have my stories.
No, we're not off topic here. We are.
What did Beth Grant say? Ego is not your amigo.
Ego is not your amigo.
When you find yourself telling Lawrence Fishburne and Eddie Murphy,
"Hey, Morpheus, Professor Klump, and you little Nino Brown."
They're like uncles to me, man. Danny, yeah. Oh my God, they're like, dude, Danny. I mean, they're like, I look up to those guys.
Right.
I know you said that, and I totally respect that, like not talking down about anybody. So feel free to, we can pass this next question if you want, but I am going to ask, you with working with Bruce Willis, there are stories circulating, mostly from Kevin Smith, who worked with him on Cop Out, of just not being the most enjoyable person to work with. And if you're comfortable speaking about your experience with that, with working with Bruce Willis, if maybe you can confirm that, or if you had a completely different experience. And you guys improv a lot of your lines together too, right?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, someone's experience with someone is none of my business. With him, we were cool. we were cool. You know, if you kind of get the gist of Bruce, then you understand him more. For instance, when we did the commercial.
Argyle?
I'm on the set. I didn't even see him. I was talking to somebody else. And he tapped me and he goes, Argyle. I turned around and I went, where in the fuck have you been? I could have been dead by now. His eyes opened, and then I just looked at him, and then it takes a lot to make him like laugh. And I just keep it real. And I said that, and he went, he bent. And I hugged him, and then, you know, so it was cool. It was cool. I'd like to share something with you, if I may, about that has to do with my experience with that film. That's pivotal, if I may. Yes?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
John McTiernan. Now, I told you I didn't really learn how to act. It was always like this. I learned how to act when I did Die Hard. The first day of rehearsal, John McTiernan goes, okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to do the scene when you guys are in the limo and I'm being nosy with Bruce. I keep prying and prying. He goes, we're going to do that, okay? And I said, yeah, okay. So he goes, action. I go, so you're a New York cop and you move here, back here to get together with your wife and you have one bag, so why bother to pack? And John's eyes kind of go like how that agent did when I read like that. He goes, come here for a second. I said, yes. He goes, did you read the entire script? I went,
What the fuck is going on?
I see you. I said, not really, not really. He goes, do you understand the chemistry of what you're saying to him? He goes, okay. And he gave me this glare. He looked at me, he goes, all right, listen. In his head, he was like, probably like, how the fuck did they hire him? Anyway, he's like, okay, look, listen very carefully. He's a New York cop and he wants desperately to get back together with his wife. And so he's bringing one bag with him on the hopes of getting back together with her so they can be happily ever after. Do you understand? Okay. And it like did something. It shook me because I was like, I'm with these people. And look, those people, I'm just kidding. I'm with these people around me, the set and everything. And they heard him holler at me. And so my heart was going like this. And they said, action. I said, oh, so you're a New York cop and you came back here on the hopes of getting back together with your wife and you brought one bag. So why bother to pack, right? That was the scene. That's when I learned how to act.
Like I said, you're very fast, Argyle.
It's evident in Die Hard too that like John McTiernan prioritizing the full picture of every character. That's something that makes Die Hard, like, it transcends other action movies, especially around that time, to put so much emphasis on the character arcs of and making sure that even supporting characters were understanding how everything would come together. And you could see it in the movie.
You can.
There's payoffs.
Especially, and like you said, from all the research we've done, almost every person, or should I say, everything we've read, sources that a lot of these lines were improvised. I want to ask you, when you and Bruce were improvising, is there one particular line that you're proud of, or one that you can remember to say, man, that wasn't going to be in the film at all, but people always quote it, or it's one that you personally love? Anything you can think of?
John was like, you guys just have fun with it, improvise. So there's something that I said to him, and they pulled it out. I mean, they edited. He goes, he's like, so your wife, yeah, I said, so your wife, you're in the hopes of getting back together with your wife, so why bother to pack? And then he goes, you sure do ask a lot of questions. I said, she beat you up. And I think I said, you let your bitch beat you up. That's what it was.
When keeping it real goes wrong. But that was a perfect line.
Said,
You let your bitch beat you up.
I said, she beat you
I
up.
just see that.
So
Yeah.
that stuff like that, that's what we got to do. And I just learned, dude, with acting, just to take your time and deliver.
Hey, come on, you divorced? You separated? She beat you up?
And understand your objective in the scene.
Mhm.
And I learned it. And after that, I took some acting classes. However, I ended up getting the best coach, Catelyn Adams, dude. Robert De Niro calls her like 2 a.m. She's amazing. So I learned how to act and stuff. However, it was just a time after this stuff that I just really needed to find Devoreaux.
Mm-hmm.
I needed that. I needed to process, my mom, and I needed the father leaving early. And are we still on topic?
Oh no, you're on topic. Please go.
Okay. The father leaving. I needed to, some people say soul search. I needed to do some day search, day, Devoreaux searching. And I just needed to get closure on some things and really learn how to have gratitude and appreciate the gifts that have been bestowed upon me, go beyond an actor. Some say I have this gift of giving people hope. And in the work that I do, I tell these young ones that are on drugs and this fentanyl stuff and everything that's happening, I'm like, look, I straight up with them. They get a little arrogant and stuff. Their parents drop them off with the American Express Black card and say, you take them. And, we sit down and, one kid one day a while ago, he came out of the group and he's like, this is for the parents, by the way. He came out of the group and he's like, fuck you, Mom. All I wanted was a fucking carton of cigarettes. You can't even send that. That's fucked up. And I saw him, and I was working at this very high-end treatment facility in Newport Beach. I saw him, and I said, come here. And the other clients were like, oh, he said it in front of Day. He said it in front of Day. He goes, Day, I'm sorry. I said, no. Just bring your sorry ass over here. He comes over.
Day, I'm sorry. I know. Look, come over here.
He goes, Day,
We'll get to
Day.
that.
He goes, Day. I said, no. He goes, what's that? He goes, what? I said, what? I did. Like in that Chris
Tucker.
The artist, the singing artist, Chris Brown.
Oh, right. Oh, Brown. Here we go.
When he goes in the shoe store and his job and he gets fired, remember? And he goes, I didn't mean. He goes, I didn't mean. He goes, I didn't mean to be late. You're always late. So anyway, I said to this kid, I said, how old are you? He says, I'm 23. I said, first of all, you should be buying your own motherfucking cigarettes. 2, how many treatment facilities have you been in? 5, Day. 5. So your mother created you. And she's paid for 5 treatment centers for you, insurance or whatever. She took the time to do it. See, I do this because I don't have a mom. I lost my mom. And so I'll let you have it when you disrespect your mom. This is what I've learned. That's what I'm telling you. And I said, so your parents put you here. They have a life too, dude.
Mm-hmm.
The parents have a life too. All the phone calls. That's why I said you're sorry ass. All the phone calls. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can I have $20? I'm sorry. Can you get me into rehab? Waking them up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Them picking you up from jail. All the lies you told and manipulated. And the least you can do is say, thank you, Mom, so much. And be sincere about it. And and I qualify because I don't have a mother. And you have the audacity to be on the phone and talk to your mother like that. I said, you lost your motherfucking mind. When you find it, you come give me a call.
Hey, you know the number. Use it. Argyle. Yeah.
I want to go back to that line that you improvised because it's I want to appreciate that line because it is so that
it's so cool that line was that you came up with that on the spot. Because that line so early on in the movie, it's instrumental in establishing John McClane as the opposite of what we've become accustomed to with action heroes. Like John McClane, what made him so special is his vulnerability, his weakness, the fact that he gets his ass kicked more than he kicks ass, but he's relentless about it. Most action heroes are just like alpha male macho men. Like John McClane cries on the screen. So for you to improvise a line like that so early on in the film is like I think it served the bigger picture of John McClane's character of how he's not going to be your stereotypical leading man in an action
His
movie.
wife left him. She changed her name back to her maiden name. He can't see his kids. He has one bag. He's been demasculated he's been castrated before the movie starts. And if your line, hey, to sum up what he's saying, I think like when we always talk about character development, your brief time with him at the beginning sets us down the course for what type of man that he is at the beginning of the film. So it's a pivotal role is what it is.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You've touched on this a few times, the Die Hard battery commercial. But I wanted to go back to that for a second because it kind of came out of nowhere. It was just really cool. Like the people reuniting, reprising their characters. For essentially, I don't even like to call it a commercial. It was like a short film. What was that like getting back into that world after decades?
Hey, that's my line.
You know, people were sending things and this one came in to my management and Greg calls me and he goes, Day, I've read this and they're very interested in you for this thing. And I said, what is it? And he goes, it's a commercial. Bruce is on board and it's Die Hard and it's for Advanced Auto Parts. And I said, okay, so be more specific. And he goes, I know who the advertising company is for this, and this is legit. He goes, they want you, however, they have stated that if they are unable to hire you, they will do their best to find someone that looks like you, however, they want the original Argyle. And I said, okay, so what? He goes, you think you might want to do it? I said, what do you honestly think? And he goes, this is your time. He goes, to rekindle. He goes, you're a different person now. You're spiritual now. You're happy now. And I said, he goes, you're not sad. And I said, wise investments my grandmother did. So he said, yeah, this is legit. So you guys, when you get booked on a job in Hollywood, I don't ever talk about money. However, this is a point needs to be made. Okay, at Screen Actors Guild, I think the lowest scale, I think, is 2,500 a day or 3,000 a day or something like that before you get your quote, per se. When you start working, you get your quote goes higher and higher. And so there was no negotiation needed. They just came in and went, boom. We really want you to do this. It was such a beautiful, not only did it raise my quote, now, and shit's happening. It was just like, it was so good that Greg needed to hire Loeb and Loeb lawyers. These guys charge like $800, $1,000 an hour to do this deal. And the way that the contract was done, it was so beautifully orchestrated and executed.
You've said it yourself how much you've grown and changed as a person since you were Argyle the last time. So to step back into shoes that you filled decades earlier with so much evolution in yourself as a person between that time and now, just what that felt like for you internally to kind of go back to that place from a completely different perspective, having everything that you know in hindsight.
It had been a while. However, I kind of I'm coming at it from a different angle now. First of all, it wasn't like I'm just going to walk in and just read it. I'd already done it. And you know what was funny? It was hilarious because it was COVID. So Bruce needed to do his separately for me because you couldn't sit next to each other. So he did his and I did mine. It was so hilarious because we were filming and in the movie I went,
This is their idea of Christmas.
I got to be there for New Year's. And we were doing it and the director, he was awesome. I said, he wanted me to say, if this is Christmas, I got to be there for New Year's are the lines. And I started going, if this is Christmas, I have to be there for New Year's. He goes, no, Dave, we need you to say, I got to be there for New Year's. I got to be. I said, oh, fine, no problem. Action. If this is Christmas, I have to be there for New Year's. Like 4 times. And before, when I didn't take acting seriously, you guys, I would get nervous. So I had to get it right on the first take all the time. Perfectionist in that area. When I was doing those jobs, I had to get it like 1 or 2 and then do the close-up because I would get nervous. That panic thing would jump in and I didn't know it then, the mother thing. And so it was just funny. On this time, though, it was hilarious. I did it like 4 times and didn't say it. And then I finally got it right, got to be there for New Year's. And I said, shit, I co-starred in the original and can't even remember the fucking line.
Oh my goodness. That is a story for the ages on that. Now what I was going to ask you, we're coming down towards these last few here.
I was going to ask you, in 2014, you played an Uber driver in the very funny show Workaholics. And there was some great diehard nods and Easter eggs offered up. What was the Workaholics set like? And did you find a sense of flattery in that kind of innocently parodying Argyle?
It was funny because they asked me to do it. And so we were like, okay. And they sent the script. And it was they did it kind of unethical, which was cool. They just said, we're interested and we'd like you to do our show. And so I said, okay. So they delivered the script. I was living in Newport at the time. They delivered the script and it came. And so I was working with a few clients, that were in a treatment facility. And he came to my office there and I opened it. And one of the guys in there, he's doing great now, by the way. Better be. I was talking him in the eye. It came the script. And when it said Workaholics, you guys, I thought it was something like, you've worked in entertainment and what are you doing now?
Quite the opposite.
So, I opened it, you guys. Look at you. I opened it. And the key was right there. And I said, DJ, some people asked me to do Workaholics. I thought it was like a show. He goes, Workaholics. And I said, yeah, dude. He goes, that's my favorite show. That's my favorite show. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, they smoke pot and everything, Dave. And I said, you don't smoke pot today, so why are you interested in that? Well, it's just a good show. I said, okay. So to answer your question, went up to Glendale, LA, to do it. They were cool. The director, the guy, one of the actors also directs.
Noah Check.
Yes. He was really nice. He was nice. They were all nice. What was funny was that vaping had started, and I was partnership with a vape store down here in Newport on the peninsula, because everybody was going from smoking cigarettes in Newport Beach. It's like, we've had it, and so I opened this vape store with this guy. And so I had a vape with me. And so I'm on the set, and he just kept smoking. He was chain smoking. And I was like, dude, you may want to, try one of these, a vape. I am partners with a store in Newport. He goes, oh, no, bro, because if I smoke weed, it throws me off when I'm directing. I said, oh, it's not weed, it's juice with alpha carcinogens and poisons the cigarettes have in it. And he goes, oh, really? And I said, yeah, there's no poison. I mean, it's nicotine or the other stuff, And he goes, no, dude, I'm cool. That was just like a funny moment. It was cool. It was a job. It was a job. I was happy to do it. They had me up late, though. They had me up late. Imagine. And the commercial, too. I didn't get out of there until like the sun was rising on the set. I remember the director on the commercial, you guys were talking about that. They got me a nice hotel and everything, and it was like 45 minutes from the set. However, they were like, director's like, it was the sun was just beginning to come up in the commercial when Bruce is dragging me to save me and I'm holding the battery. He goes, yeah, Dave. He goes, don't you want to get out of here? Don't you want to go home and go to sleep? I go, no, I'm on my fourth Red Bull and you guys gave it to me. I'm having a blast. It was fun. It's all fun. It's all fun if you're focused. Yep. Yeah, you mentioned about the commercial and what was different. I say it, people don't agree with me. I was fat. Is how I look at it. People go, no, you weren't. I was like 181. You guys, I'm used to all my life being like 110 pounds. And so I was like 181. I've lost a lot of that. I was 181 pounds. And so I was like sort of self-conscious because, I was bigger. And however, that's the only thing. You asked me the differentiation between, that was the only thing. I was a little self-conscious, about that. However, they said I was fine. I even asked wardrobe. I said, don't you guys have like a girdle? And they were like, we can give you that. However, they're so uncomfortable, sir. They're so uncomfortable. I was like, okay. It was messing with me like that.
Yeah.
So, it was fun. Last question. What were you going to say? Because I'm not leaving. I'm having fun.
I mean, you may have put on a few pounds, but at least you still got your hair. Bruce Willis, on the other hand,
it went.
He's wearing it well, though. He's doing the Mr. Clean thing. Going back to Die Hard, before we leave Die Hard.
What was your favorite memory from the production?
When John McTiernan cussed me out and showed me how to act. I will not ever forget that, you guys. He let me have it. I was like, wow. However, I'm so grateful though. That is the memory. Bruce and I, we have fun. That shit right there though, that tops it. That right there.
I truly believe that lets you know whether you, at that very moment, you know whether you have it or you don't, and whether you can make it in this business. And clearly you did. Now, there's been this great debate of all time, and hopefully you can sell this for us, because one of your lines is, hey, if this is their idea of Christmas, I gotta be there for New Year's. So what I gotta ask you is, I didn't say have to, I gotta be there for New Year's. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie to Argyle?
This is what it is, you guys. It's a Christmas cult classic. That's it.
Very well spoken. You went to law school,
I see people on social media arguing. They're like fighting.
Yeah.
They're like, it's a Christmas movie. No, it's not. Fuck you. It's a Christmas movie because da 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 da. And then somehow somebody got to me that I know. And all this stuff was going, all these messages. No, it's not. You don't know what you're talking about because of the period. Da 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 da. It's a Christmas movie. Well, not necessarily because. And then finally, I saw all these things, and then finally, I came in and I posted, and I said, with all due respect, Die Hard is a Christmas cult classic.
Best way to put it.
Setting the record straight.
Setting the record straight.
If anybody can, it's you.
But setting the record straight, but also making everybody say, see, I was right. They're both sides now saying, see, I was right.
Someone came up to me and said, no, it's not. I'd say, I fucking co-starred in the movie. Get the fuck
right. Your bitch beat you.
Yeah. You have worked on so many iconic projects across various mediums, from film to television, sharing the screens with many talented performers like yourself. What's the most important lesson that you have learned in all of your experience that you could pass on to young aspiring actors?
The truth, even if it hurts, always feels better when it gets on the other side. Somehow, to me, honesty and integrity build character. So if I was to, you said, give any advice about acting, what I tell people often, just like, oh, should I pay this agency to go and join with them, and then they'll take care of the pictures, and that's another $500, and then another $200 in 3 months to do acting classes? And I said, in my experience, fuck no. I said, you should not have to pay for anything. The only investment are your headshots. In my experience, I said, if an agency or a manager is interested in you, they'll bring you on board, and then they're just going to take the agent 10% out of what you make, manager 10 or 15% out of what you make. Mm-hmm. In my experience, what I've learned growing up, because I went through all that, and by the way, that lady that approached me when I was a kid and said, do you want to be a movie star? What the get down was, when my grandmother met with her, she wanted my grandmother to sign that she was supposed to make 15% of everything that I made in the next 5 years and resign. My grandmother, being a very acute and keen businesswoman, she laid down so many gifts to me. She was very good in business, in real estate and stuff. And, I grew up learning everything about real estate, the interest rates and the mortgage and the escrow, all that stuff I always heard. So when my grandmother said, so you get 15% of everything that he makes for 5 years? And she said, yeah, but. And she goes, now let us think about that. And so what my grandmother did, she was the one that called the agent and said, we were referred, and they said, by who? And they said, this woman. Now, I told you I don't speak bad about people. This is just the facts of what happened when I was a child. They said, how did you find out about us? And she said, Jewel, so-and-so and so. And she goes, oh, well, she's got 5 kids. None of them have gotten a job before. And so I don't know what she's trying to do. However, because of that, we will see your grandson. That was the real get down.
Wow,
so
awesome.
Everything happens for a reason. So I'm saying be careful. Be careful and mindful of, especially in this day and age, Hollywood has changed so much, the epidemic and all that stuff. It's not like it used to be. However, technology, everything is somewhat evolving. I just be careful. Be careful and watch the conversations that you have with people to see how legit they really are.
I think you put it perfectly when you said it earlier about being meticulous.
You have talent. Yeah, I have people walking through me all the time. Day, I want to be an actor. How can I be an actor? I'm good. I could do this. And I turn and I say, can you fucking act?
Right.
First of all, can you act? Because, you can be great looking and charismatic. And if you don't have the goods, I don't know.
Okay.
You need to know how to act.
And
most people that have personalities,
and
though.
And
most people that have a
relentlessness.
personality can act. Like you guys have personalities, great personalities. Most people that have something about their personality can usually act. They have a gift. All 3 of us have different gifts right now today. So
Well, I know the
who's
gift
this
you-
4th person? Who's this 4th person?
Oh, it's him. Oh, you talking about having an ego?
Oh,
It's
shit.
him. It's him.
Made it
He's
through a
the-
whole season without somebody to question.
Yeah, every now and
Oh,
then
you
somebody's
just
like, "Who's
really
this
want
other
to be
guy?"
seen. You
I'm
just
like,
really
it's
want to
him.
be seen, don't you?
I was going. Well, first off, you're right. We all do have gifts, and one of the gifts is that you definitely gave us some of your time today. So before we let you go, we do have, I think, 2 really quick questions. You're locked in a room for 1 year. You can only have 1 movie with you, and it doesn't have to be a cliche movie. What movie you taking with you? 1 movie. 1 year.
The Hunger.
La La Land.
What'd you say?
La La Land. Remember they did that the Moonlight at the Oscars? They were like La La Land. And it was really Moonlight. Go ahead.
It would be The Hunger with David Bowie, Catherine Deneuve, and Susan Sarandon.
Yeah.
Or that's one of my top 5s right there.
Okay.
American Gangster was cute.
Yeah.
That was cool. Idris Elba, yeah, it was good.
Oh yeah, always.
I told him my personal one was Jackie Brown was going to be mine with Pam Grier, Michael Keaton, Chris Tucker. It just goes on. Robert De Niro, yeah, man, you get it right. Pam, I could have stopped at Pam Grier. That was enough, right?
Casino, that was good.
Yes,
Woo!
yes. You
Real
can't talk to him like that. He's a square. You can't do that. Yeah, Casino. Good job, man. There you go.
Real quick, you guys check this out, because I got the ends.
Yes.
Dude, Sharon Stone was like, they asked her to do it. She was like, okay, wait a motherfucking minute. This is Joe Pesci and De Niro. So I'm gonna need to step up my game. And that's what she did. She said, I'm with these 2? Oh my God. She rocked that shit.
Ginger rocked the shit out of it. Ginger was that deal.
She rocked it. So that's what I love about acting. And by the way, I'll leave you with this. You said for everybody else, dude, the only person I'm in competition with is Devoreaux, is me.
Mm-hmm.
I play ping pong. I love it. Tennis. I love it. And they go, you won. You beat me. I'm like, no, we're both winners. We're both winners here today. There's no losers. Or for me, we're both winners. So I go with that attitude with everything that I do. The only competition I'm with is me. The only person is me.
Amazing.
And people will say that. Did I offend you? I go, the only person that can offend me is me.
Amazing.
Do you have this is our last question for real.
Yes.
With the exception of 2 little promo clips we need to grab, but
before we say goodbye, is there anything that you have brewing right now or coming up, or anything at all that you'd like to leave the audience with?
You saw the commercial, right?
Yes.
You're talking about the AutoZone, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Stay tuned.
Okay, all right.
Now that's a fucking
Stay
trailer.
up.
Sizzle,
Stay up.
sizzle, baby. Non-disclosure agreement activated. Love it. Love it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So
Please tell me McLean is back again.
anyway, we're not
The mouse.
I don't know what you're talking about.
exactly. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to
You
him.
can be quiet, but I'm going to say something for it. The mouse tried to fuck it up. But
Disney?
yes, because
Okay.
they took Fox, but they were talking about McLean, and that would be
It's okay.
All right, man. Hey, listen, Argyle, Miss D, whatever you want to be called, you have been an icon in my life, sir. Like I said, I've watched you. We watched you last night and this morning. Nope, I know it seems a little bit weird, but we have to do our research. So, hey, you still got it, man. Hey, listen, I wish you nothing but the best, man. Good luck with all the rehabilitation work. Please keep doing that, and I look forward to the hot sizzle you got coming out soon, man. Are you on Instagram? Can people find you on Instagram?
Oh yeah, his Instagram is like chicken soup for the soul. Like it's inspiring. You got motivational stuff.
Well, once we finish this, I'll be following you, sir. Thank you so much. Tell your agent we appreciate all the information. And listen, if you ever want to come back on, man, you're more than welcome. If there's ever a Die Hard 5, Argyle's Revival, or you come right back on.
I had a lot. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. I mean,
Yes.
I've done and do interviews, and they're like, cool. You cats, that shit was fun.
Thank you, man.
Because I'm like, who is this with the hat on and the beard? And then I look over here, and it's your ass.
him.
Yeah.
It is him, man. And listen, this has been more than a pleasure for me. Like I said, I cannot state it enough. And listen, hopefully we gave you better treatment than the movies that made us. Because hey, you made our day today, so we really appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much, man, and big love and God bless to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys, thank you so much for what you do. You know,
Thank you.
amazing. Thank you so much. All right.
All right, thank you, D. You have a great day, man, and we'll see you soon, man. Okay.
Big love and God bless. Peace.
McLean 2023.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that was great.